UNC has some legit, like, I wouldn't say cracks in the foundation, but they have some wrinkles they need ironed out, right? Some things that are of pressing need, and they can start tonight against Syracuse on the road. Now, I can say this because I've lived in upstate New York. I've covered Syracuse early in my career, paying my dues. Syracuse is like another planet this time of year. It is cold. There is snow on the ground. It is it's just a dreary. Like, you haven't seen
It's gray.
You haven't seen the sun in a long time. It's a different, like, the way I've described it, and I've lived up there. I've covered it. We did the Carrier Dome, all those sorts of things. Recruiting to Syracuse during basketball season is an earth-shattering challenge. If I were a basketball coach recruiting to Syracuse, I would go, don't come up during basketball season. I'm going to be busy. I got to pay attention. Come up in July. That's when we'll have you for your – but there won't even be school in session. No, but we'll take you fishing. It's because it is lovely in the summer, right? We'll hit the Finger Lakes. Like, come on up in July. Syracuse feels like another planet right now. So if I'm UNC, here's my piece of advice. Go to another planet and fix some things, right? Go up there and iron out some wrinkles, right? I still think UNC is the best team in the ACC, but their grasp on that title has gotten a lot shakier over the last 2 weeks. They're one game ahead of multiple teams in conference. One. That's not many, right? So you can't afford any more lapses, right? If you had a lapse against Georgia Tech, if you had a lapse against Clemson, you can't have any more lapses, right? That close win against Miami even, I think, loosened the grip, right? It loosened some of the intimidation that teams faced. When you went on that, what was it, a 10-game winning streak, and you rose up and you were number 3 in the country, there was a little bit of intimidation there. Right? R.J. Davis was this flamethrower from the outside. Harrison Ingram was Mr. Do-It-All. Baycott was a sleeping giant waiting to wake up. There was some intimidation. That's not there right now. Right? Syracuse isn't going to be like, ooh, you beat Miami by, 3, 4? Mm-hmm. Ooh, Georgia Tech beat you. Ooh, Clemson beat you. There's not a ton of ooh there. Syracuse is an opportunity for you to get back some of the ooh. They're undersized, first of all. They have a 7'4" guy that plays sparingly. Other than that, they don't have much size. They have some scoring on the perimeter, but I would argue that plays into the strength of UNC, right? If you have scoring on the perimeter, smother them with the peskiness of Cormac Ryan, smother him with Harrison Ingram's versatility. You have the guys, the matchup there to have some success. So I'm going to ask you this, Dennis.
Hit me.
Is this a get-back game for UNC?
Get back.
Like how we use it, a get-right game.
Oh, get-right game. I was like, okay, get back.
Get right.
Did Syracuse say something?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Like a revenge game? No,
get back.
Okay,
get back at somebody. I would say yes.
I think it's a little disrespectful to Syracuse to say that because I think they're probably better than that. But if I'm UNC, I'm going, who cares about disrespecting Syracuse? Treat it like a get-back game. Treat it like a get-right game.
And I think it's just, for North Carolina, it's one of those situations where you want to get right no matter who it is. Yes. It's not like what the Carolina Panthers were this past season, where it's like, all right, hey, you know what, guys, we'll get things fixed out. We're playing Carolina Panthers coming up. That was a little bit different, but I think for
how much
UNC,
of a bummer would it be if your favorite college basketball team was described as the Carolina Panthers of college basketball?
Hello, Notre Dame. But I think for them, because defensively we've seen some lapses, especially in the first half of that game against Miami. Second half, they were much better. But you want to see them get back right defensively. And I know the loss of Seth Trimble has been magnified. Yep. Now that we don't
Davis
see him out there.
efficiency has dropped. There's a few things that, like I said, there are wrinkles that need to be ironed out.
Yeah, things are going to iron out, and I think also there is a natural. I think it's natural, even though coaches may not say it. Hey, you had that big game that you got up for against Duke at home, the national spotlight, obviously everything that comes with it. And the next 2 games after that haven't really been so good. And obviously the game leading up to the game against Duke really wasn't that great either. You lost, very late against Georgia Tech. So yeah, this is a get-right game for Carolina. Doesn't matter who it is, whether you're playing Virginia, Virginia Tech. This case, it just happens to be Syracuse.
I do think Virginia's nationally ranked right now.
They are, yeah.
I think that the how well Virginia is playing is a testament to Tony Bennett and Reese Beekman, those two guys specifically. But I do think it's different than if you were playing a Virginia, right? I do think it's different than if you were playing a nationally ranked or a top 4 or 5 in the ACC program. I think in those games it's less about get right and more about by any means necessary. I'd challenge RJ Davis to shoot a high percentage, right? I would have. I talk about mini goals. Some in video game fans might call them side quests. When you're the most obvious example, and I know this is not apples to apples, but the most obvious example is UNC against Duke. There are no side quests. There are one quest.
Get the job.
Win the game, right? And if anyone is focused on anything else, no. But against teams of lesser, you can have side quests. Like, hey, we want to win the game, and we want RJ Davis to shoot at least 50%. We want to win the game, and we want to take advantage of our size advantage down low. We want to win the game, and so I think this Syracuse game is one that you can have 3 or 4 ands. You can have 3 or 4 other things you're looking to do, whereas against UVA, you probably wouldn't have any other ands. It would just be win the game and try not to get dragged into the muck by the pack line and everything Tony Bennett does. So that's what I'm looking for tonight. Not only will UNC win, I think they will, but also how many ands, how many side quests can they tackle in addition to getting the win?
Give me a side quest.
Side quest. I want I wasn't joking with the RJ Davis. I want RJ Davis to shoot, I'd say 47% or better.
Okay. Last 3 games, he's been under 40% as a whole.
And he's been shooting the 3 well. If he were not shooting the 3 well, I would be less demanding of this because shoot or shoot. And I do think it's like, if he goes 2 for 9 from 3, that's bad, right? That's not what you want to shoot.
No.
But if he's your best 3-point, like Monsanto for Wake Forest shot 2 for 9 last night, I'm not going to go into the next game like, geez, he better shoot better. It's like, no, he's your best 3-point shooter. If he has a 2 for 9 game, I still want him to keep shooting. But with RJ Davis, it hasn't been that. He's been shooting the 3 well, and his shot selection on 2s, I think, has been lacking. So the side quest for RJ Davis is take much better shots inside the 3-point arc. You're doing a great job of getting open 3s. I want better shots inside the 3-point arc. I would also probably perimeter defense, right? Just because Trimble's been out. So I'm looking at the best and Syracuse has some guys that can fill it up on the perimeter. I'm looking at the guards and challenging them to make it difficult. And this is probably a film situation where you have to look at, like, if Syracuse is making tough shots, they're making tough shots, right? Better offense than good defense. But I want good defense. That's a side quest. I want my perimeter defenders, especially in lieu of Trimble, to be out there getting their job done. And then a few other small things. Yeah,
sometimes with that, it could be like, all right, let's limit them to under 7 assists.
Yeah,
things like that. So that means you're closing out on shots or your off-ball
tough
defense
dribble
is really good.
Pull-ups if they're making shots.
Exactly.
Let those shots be what they settle for. I mean, the best way you can describe a great defense is the offense was settling all night. Long 2s, settle for long 2s, end of shot clocks, settling for forces. Like, you want the offense to settle. That's usually means your defense is playing well.